the recording. And just stay where you are. I know it's going to be hard to face me.
No, this is good.
All right, good.
Do I look into that camera there, or do I look at you?
Look at me is probably the best.
All right, that'll work.
All right. I want to make sure I have on tape.
This is good. I like this. I didn't know. Who is this guy, Sean? Where was he yesterday? No, this is good. We're all right.
All right, very good. What's your name and what are you running for?
My name is Michael Levinson, and I'm a candidate for the open seat in the House of Representatives, 13th Congressional District.
Tell us why you're running for Congress.
I'm running for Congress because it's an opportunity to break the two-party lock on our politics, because I'm independent. No party affiliation is me. But I'm also planning to declare my candidacy for the office of president my first day in the House of Representatives. And I expect that Speaker Boehner is going to give me 5 or 10 minutes with the full House, because my health care program covers 41 million people in 6 weeks without bureaucracy and without a website. And Boehner is going to go for that in a big way. So that, because all the Republicans want to see the Obamacare, whatever it is, to go by the wayside. Well, I'm going to cover everyone in 6 weeks without a website and without any bureaucracy.
How's that?
Well, what we have to agree as a people, with lots of advertising and lots of stuff and lots of people talking about it on TV, is that we are going to all be willing to pay a 2-cent gratuity, 2 cent per item gratuity on everything we purchase in the fast food places. So burger, fries, and a drink, the cashier will say, is the gratuity okay? Yeah, 6 cents, take it, fine. In the supermarket, 15 items in Publix would be $40 for $45 easily. So what's another 30 cents? So we agree that we're going to, voluntary, it's voluntary, you don't have to pay it. So now we all got skin in the game, we're all putting in this 2 cents. Now, at the end of the week, the management divides all the pennies taken in by the hours worked by the lower echelon workers, and a minimum of $1 goes into everybody's medical assurance savings account. So a healthy young kid in a supermarket, at the end of the year, he's got $2,000 on his medical assurance savings account card, and it goes with him when he leaves the job. So the kid comes home and his mother says, I'm not feeling well, I didn't make any supper. What's wrong? I've been sick for 3 days. Tomorrow's my day off, we're going to the doctor. So his card he can use for his mother, father, sister, brother, significant other. So the 12 or 11 or 12 million people getting the pennies are covering also their relatives with their card. If they need the doctor, they got the way to get in because they got the card. That covers 25 million people. The next thing we want to do is give doctors and dentists that they can do a one-line change in the tax code. They can do $50,000 in charitable work. So if you yourself, you didn't have any insurance, you could say, go to your doctor, your charity case. So he takes the $50,000 off his income tax. When they're all done with all their deductions, they take an additional $25,000 off the bottom line. So every doctor in the country can see that they can end up with freedom of income tax. So their doors will be open. No insurance, charity, you're not charity, you're not taking a government thing where how much money did you earn last year. You don't have insurance and you're 52 years old and you're in the middle somewhere. You're a charity case if the doctor takes you. That's all there is to it. That covers another 10 million people. What's left is the 5 million people that have pre-existing conditions. So that out of the 2 cents that we're putting in at the register, then $5 a week out of the money that goes to the kid that's working, which would be like $40 a week or whatever it is, more in a lot of places. That $5 a week goes into a catastrophic illness pool. So there's 12 million lower echelon workers times $5 a week, that's $60 million. In 6 weeks, there's $360 million in the pool to cover every heart transplant, every kidney transplant, whatever it is. So we let the people with pre-existing stuff join the pool and pay, say, 80 or 90% of what their insurance premium was, but no deductible. They don't have to come up with any more money. They put in the $600 or $700 monthly in the pool, and then their kid who's got asthma and he got to go to the hospital, it's covered.
We're speaking with Michael Levinson. He's running in the March special election for the vacant congressional seat in Congress, previously held by Bill Young. Michael, what about in Pinellas County? A big issue is flood insurance rates. What's your answer to rising flood insurance rates?
Well, the flood insurance deal, and when you hear the Republican David Jolly, he talks about something similar that I believe they lifted off my website. Basically, it's this. Every homeowner and small business in the country except for people that are on the poverty edge where they own their house, they don't have any house payment, but they don't have any money either. They're on fixed income and they're low. So we'll pick up them. $30 a month from every homeowner in the country because a climate calamity insurance. So because a hurricane could come in the middle of Wisconsin, and so it's $30 and your house is completely and totally covered. You're a small businessman on the waterfront in New Jersey, you pay the $30 a month, your business is totally, completely covered. FEMA, we can eliminate the FEMA bureaucracy and let that money stay in the Treasury. Then when there's a climate calamity, the governor declares a climate calamity and taps into the Treasury for the FEMA money, which goes for the structure, for the grid, for the streets are all covered with total chaos, 10 feet high from the hurricane that demolished 500 houses, whatever. So that's FEMA that covers the grid and the infrastructure. The $30 a month climate calamity insurance covers every homeowner 100%. So in a couple of months, there's a huge amount of money there. So if something happens somewhere where a whole town is flooded out, we'll fix it for you because we're all putting it all in.
MichaelLevinson.com, your website, talks a lot about reforming mortgages. How would you help people with their mortgages?
Well, that's MichaelSLevinson.com, and that's only one of the websites. There's another one, it's a mirror site, which is Levinson, the number 4, LevinsonForCongress.us. I like that, LevinsonForCongress.us. Okay, mortgages. What we want to do is we have $2.7 trillion in bonds sitting in the Social Security lockbox. The lockbox had keyless entry. They took our cash. They took our cash. They bought aircraft carriers to silhouette the 7 seas, planes that the pilots can hardly fly, and they replaced the cash with savings bonds in our name, so we're paying twice. Every time these bonds come due, they go resell them to somebody else without even talking about it. That's why they want to keep taking away money from Social Security, because they spent all the Social Security money. So they figure they have to do something. All right, we have $2.7 trillion in bonds sitting there. So I want to take these bonds and turn them into 2% mortgage savings bonds. And then we are going to purchase every bank-held mortgage in the whole country, which is about $5 trillion, but the first 2.8 or 2.7 trillion is right there waiting to be turned into 2% mortgage savings bonds. So then we want to have a 15% off on all the people that pay like slot machines, and the banks always collect all the interest up front, so this doesn't hurt them. They're getting paid off in full. So 15% deduction for the good. The bad are the ones underwater, and I'm going to have a way to solve the underwater part, but we're going to put that on the back end of mortgages and non-interest bearing, so when someone finally sells the house, they have to pay part maybe, but they walk away with equity, so people can live in their dream house and have a reasonable payment. So we're going to get a 35% deduct on those houses, and then 49 cents on the dollar on the foreclosures, which is all they're worth because of all the cost. The banks will accept this in a heartbeat. They're paid off. The Fannie Mae, Freddie Mae slates get cleaned completely. The mortgages go to the Social Security. You go to the bank with a savings bond for, say you owe $100,000. You go to the bank, you get a savings bond for $85,000 paid to you in the bank. So you go and you give it to the bank manager. Then 20 minutes later, your deed comes over the fax machine. Now you sit down and you rewrite your own mortgage in a do-it-yourself program, and the bank overseeing, so you get the proper credit rating, and your mortgage will be from 4.75 to 7% tops, depending on the quality of your credit. So that's all done by you in the branch in a 20-minute program, do-it-yourself program. If somebody can't do it, they could always go to H&R Block or some company, they do it for them for a $50 bill or whatever. Now, that stuff all goes to the Social Security. Social Security then takes the mortgages and passes them back to the bank branches in the same zip codes where the houses are. So the bank branch gets 1/8 of a point to service the mortgage. They print the coupon book, you pay at the bank. Okay, that takes care of that. We let the bank branches hold 12 payments. The 12 payments are to use to loan out to small businesses in the same zip code. The pizzeria wants to knock out a wall and get another oven and double their business, and they've got a track record of work and everything, records. Loan them the money. We're loaning you the money at 2% to loan to them at 4 or 5 so we can rejuvenate Main Street. But the interest on 51 million monthly mortgage payments, that goes to Uncle Sam every month. That goes to Social Security lockbox. So that every month that goes there, the interest. After 12 payments are left with the bank, everything goes to the Social Security, the lockbox. Now, the mortgage savings bonds are at 2%. Your bank loan, your mortgage is 5%. Okay? So there's a 3% spread. We will apply the 3% spread on 51 million monthly mortgage payments to drawing down the national debt, starting with the money that was in the Social Security that was replaced with bonds. So as those bonds come due, we've got the cash right there to take the bonds, because the people that get the 2% savings bonds from the banks and what they do with them, they're going to want to keep them forever. Wow, it's a steady 2%. Well, we'll want to bring those bonds in and retire them. So there's the retirement money from the bonds from that 3%, and to lower other parts of the national debt. This is worth the Nobel Prize because the Europeans can adapt this program and it will stabilize everything in Europe, and the Chinese also can adapt it because they have a housing bubble that's starting to form.
And finally, I want to ask something that's really important to Pinellas County voters, and that's offshore fossil fuel drilling. What's your position on drilling for oil off of Florida's coasts?
Well, right now we have all this drilling that's going on out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. So we don't need to do any drilling off the coast because we've got all that going on out there. The BP seam that they hit with the big giant oil spill, I described this in my Book of Lev. The Book of Leviticus is a television scripture I wrote, copyright 1971, and I described the BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. So what I want to do is, I don't want any offshore drilling. That field of oil, they're all dipping into the same field, all the other oil companies, and they've tapped into a seam of oil that runs the girth of the planet beneath the sea. There's enough oil there they could pump 10 million barrels a day for the next 200 years, and they won't get it all. So that's what's there. So what I want to do is nationalize all the oil in the middle of the Gulf, all the companies. And what that means is we cancel the lease, and then the companies, they're pumping at a cost plus. If they don't like the deal, I'll get somebody else to do the pumping. So then it's our oil. So it's oil for peace. We can tell the Iranians, if you want to do nuclear stuff, we're going to undersell you all over the world with our oil. And then you won't be able to even buy food because you won't have any oil to sales. So it's oil for peace. So with that oil in our name, then it belongs to us, which it belongs to us anyway. We give them the leases. So then we can take that money and pick up clean the Gulf. First, we need to clean the Gulf of Mexico, and that's how I'm going to do it, with the money from that oil seam that runs the girth of the planet. Then we can pick up all the real estate taxes in the whole country, so anybody who owns a house won't have any real estate taxes anymore. Furthermore, we can provide free college education for anyone who qualifies, and with the other 95% of the assets, I'll use it to pay off the national debt. That makes us the strongest country. But there's another issue. Can I raise another issue? On my website, you'll find a program about building clipper ships. I want to build 10,000 clipper ships wherever there's water and people need work. These are the very jobs that we don't have. These jobs would start out at $15 an hour because you've got to build a ship, and this is not something where you're just hammering a nail. And so that's got to be done. So we build clipper ships to carry all of our cargoes, all of our exports, all of our